Lance Meadow with you. Columbia goes 3-0 in non-conference play for the fourth time in the last 5 seasons. It is now Ivy League play from here on out as they visit the Penn Quakers. As always, we are joined by head coach Al Bagnoli. Coach, always appreciate the time. As always, let's start with the last game. A bit of a tale of two halves, I think is one way to put it, against Wagner. 7-0 game at the break, but you do wind up scoring 21 points in the second half. What registered from an offensive standpoint?
Yeah, just, we try to emphasize all the time of doing routine things well and consistently. And if you look at the first half, we had turnover, we had bad snap from center, we had careless penalties that really put us behind the chains and never really enabled us to get any traction offensively. You move it to the second half, we didn't have any of those issues. We did the routine things very well. We stayed on schedule. Once you're on schedule and you can now dictate the terms of the defense, you can make some more explosive plays and take some opportunities to get the ball downfield. So it was just us eliminating some of the things that have plagued us, in the last couple games. And it's something that, we constantly try to put stress on, emphasis on, and constantly talk about.
You brought up explosive plays. 2 things jump out to me about the Wagner game. You had Bryson Canty, high point, the 1 touchdown, and then Wills Meyer, the yardage after the catch. When you have 2 plays sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum like that, what does that do for your offense overall?
Yeah, again, I think we were really well balanced at wide receiver. So you saw different kids scored touchdowns, so Cam Burt scored his first career touchdown, and, he did a really nice job on the pattern. Wills has played a lot of football for us, and I think he demonstrated he's a pretty explosive kid when you get him in space. And then Bryson was Bryson. He has the ability to go up and snatch the ball, and, he's been a great weapon for us. So, when you look at our entire receiving core, with Marcus Lippman there as the 4th kid in there, it puts some stress on defenses and enables us to make what seems to be simple, short plays potentially into a lot longer plays. And that's exactly what happened with Wills.
Have you been finding time to show Canty some Randy Moss highlights in between practice?
No, I heard he actually made it. So, he was the number one, you got Moss, thing. And of all things, my wife was the one who told me that, so, which was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice to see Columbia get some national attention
that
on
awesome.
ESPN and the family of networks. The defense, we've been talking all season long how it's been opportunistic. You're getting touchdowns, you're getting takeaways, you're getting sacks. Normally in the game of football, the law of average plays out where you say, well, it's going to come in bunches, but eventually it's going to dissipate. It's not going away. It's happening every single game. What is that a product of in your mind?
Well, some of it, where everybody preaches, takeaways, and you drill the heck out of trying to strip the ball and, kind of disrupting things. And some of it has also been a byproduct of the score. I think once we've been able to get ahead and establish ourselves, it puts offenses in a lot more predictable situations. And I think when you're in predictable situations, it's much harder to move the football. There's a lot more risk involved of throwing the ball down the field and much more awareness on the defense of what is happening. So it's been a byproduct of a couple things, but it's certainly stressed by our defensive coaches. It's drilled by our defensive coaches. And then we've had the luxury of getting out in front, by some significant scores and forcing the other guy to play catch up.
Now your defense has the task of slowing down a Penn team that scored over 50 points in their last game against Georgetown. They're 4-0. What stands out to you about this Penn team, especially in comparison to the one that you beat last season?
Yeah, I think it starts for them up front on both sides. They're very mature, very stout physically, play very hard on both sides, and I think they've controlled the line of scrimmage. And when you do that, it kind of gives you an opportunity to call anything you want to call on offense and to play as conservative as you want to play on the back end on defense. And so I think they've done a really good job of disrupting things defensively with their down kids. They're one of the leaders, if not the leaders, in sacks for the season, negative plays for the season, and they've been a really disruptive force. And then offensively, that enables the quarterback to get a lot more confidence, knowing that he's going to be protected, that he's going to have time to kind of sort things out, and he doesn't feel like he's pressured and making, bad decisions under duress. So our ability ability to kind of withstand both of those tests, and can we hold up in the offensive line, and can we, move them on defense, and kind of dictate how the game goes, to be honest with you.
A game defined in the trenches.
Yeah, pretty much.
A little old school football.
Pretty much, yeah.
Interestingly, you both have a common opponent. You both played Georgetown, and you both won in lopsided affairs. I know you have plenty to look at on film with respect to Penn, but how beneficial is it when you can look at what they did against the common opponent that you ultimately played?
Yeah, I think it's helpful, because again, you kind of see and you remember the athletes that Georgetown had and how you matched up, and then you can kind of look at and compare those to what's happening with the Penn personnel and make at least some kind of comparisons. The other opponents we don't play and haven't played for years, so it's hard for me to make a judgment. But it was helpful for the Georgetown game. It was also a little bit disconcerting because they scored so many points. Sure. I was like, where'd this come from? And hopefully it's something that we'll be able to handle. But it shows that their offense is getting more comfortable and the quarterback is getting more settled and he's making better decisions, which is not good if you're a Columbia fan.
Well, when it comes to Columbia and Penn, it's hard to have a conversation with you and not bring up yourself, given your history between both of these programs. I know you're tired of talking about it. It is the 7th time you're playing Penn.
Yeah.
It's the 3rd time you're going to Philly. So it's not new. You've adjusted to going up against your former team. But I'm just curious, from a personal standpoint, you're still seeking that first win in your old backyard.
Yeah.
Does that weigh on you at all? Does that come into play?
I honestly don't even think about it. I tell people it was really weird the first time we went back there. So it was 2016, and honestly, I knew their personnel better than I knew our personnel, having recruited everybody. It got a little bit less weird in 18, but I still had a class and some fifth-year kids that I recruited. And so ever since then, it's a completely different cast of people that are playing. So I have no personal attachment. Obviously, I have good memories of working there and people and everything else, but it's not anywhere near the same feelings as it was, back when I first took this job. So, I've been very happy here. People have been great here, and we treat them like we treat every other Ivy League opponent. You're trying to get a W against a really good team.
As you look to build off the win against Wagner, it's part 7 of the Bagnoli Bowl this Sunday as Bagnoli returns to Philadelphia. Coach, greatly
I don't think Coach
appreciate
Priori would appreciate that.
Well, we'll spin it as much as we like. Greatly appreciate the time and best of luck.
Thank you.
So Columbia visits Penn. You can watch the game 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. You can also listen to the game on GoColumbiaLions.com.